A reading from the Book of Wisdom. Solomon is as human as anyone. Chapter 7. I too am mortal, like everyone else, a descendant of the first man formed from the earth. I was modeled in flesh, inside a mother's womb, where for 10 months, in blood, I acquired substance from virile seed and pleasure, sleep's companion. I too, when I was born, drew in the common air. I fell on the same ground that bears us all, and crying was the first sound I made like everyone else. I was nurtured in swaddling clothes with every care. No king has known any other beginning of existence, for there is only one way into life and one way out of it. Solomon's respect for wisdom. And so I prayed, and understanding was given to me. I entreated, and the spirit of wisdom came to me. I esteemed her more than scepters and thrones. Compared with her, I held riches as nothing. I reckoned no precious stone to be her equal, for compared with her, all gold is a pinch of sand, and beside her silver ranks as mud. I loved her more than health or beauty, preferred her to the light, since her radiance never sleeps. In her company, all good things came to me, and at her hands came incalculable wealth. All these delighted me, since wisdom brings them, though I did not realize that she was their mother. What I learned without guile, I pass on without grudging. I shall not conceal how rich she is. To human beings, she is an inexhaustible treasure, and those who acquire it are established God's friends, commended to him by the gifts of instruction. An appeal for divine inspiration. May God grant me to speak with judgment, to conceive thoughts worthy of the gifts I have received, since he is both guide to wisdom and director of sages. For we are in his hand, ourselves and our sayings, all intellectual and all practical knowledge. He gave me sure knowledge of what exists, to understand the structure of the world and the action of elements, the beginning, end, and middle of times, the alternation of solstices and the succession of seasons, the cycles of the year and the position of stars, the natures of animals and the moods of wild beasts, the powers of spirits and the workings of the human mind, the varieties of plants and the properties of roots. And now I understand everything hidden or known, for wisdom, the designer of all things, has instructed me. In praise of wisdom. For within her is a spirit intelligent, holy, unique, manifold, subtle, mobile, incisive, unsullied, lucid, invulnerable, benevolent, shrewd, irresistible, beneficent, generous, steadfast, dependable, unperturbed, almighty, all-surveying, penetrating all spirits, intelligent, pure, and most subtle. For wisdom is more mobile than any motion. She is so pure, she pervades and permeates all things. She is a breath of the power of God, pure emanation of the glory of the Almighty. Nothing impure can find its way into her, for she is a reflection of the eternal light, an untarnished mirror of God's active power and an image of His goodness. Although she is alone, she can do everything herself, unchanging. She renews the world, and generation after generation, passing into holy souls. She makes them into God's friends and prophets. For God loves only those who dwell with wisdom. She is indeed more splendid than the sun. She outshines all the constellations of the stars. Compared with light, she takes first place, for light must yield to night. But against wisdom, evil cannot prevail. The word of the Lord. A reading from the Book of Wisdom, chapter 8. Strongly she reaches from one end of the world to the other, and she governs all things well. The benefits of wisdom. Wisdom I loved and sought from my youth. I resolved to have her as my bride. I fell in love with her beauty. She enhances her noble birth by sharing God's life, for the Master of all has loved her. Indeed, she is an initiate in the secrets of God's knowledge and has the choice of His works. If in this life wealth is a desirable possession, what is more wealthy than wisdom who works all things? If good sense is at work, who more than she fashions whatever exists? If someone loves righteousness, the virtues are the fruit of her labors, since she teaches prudence and good sense, righteousness and courage. Nothing in life is more useful to us all. If someone is eager for wide experience, she knows the past. She forecasts the future. She knows how to turn maxims and solve riddles. She has foreknowledge of signs and wonders and of the unfolding of the ages and the times. Wisdom for rulers. I therefore determined to take her to share my life, knowing that she would be my counselor in prosperity and comfort me in cares and sorrow. Thanks to her, I shall be admired by the masses and honored, though young, by the elders. I shall be reckoned shrewd as a judge, and princes will wonder at me. They will wait on my silences and pay attention when I speak. If I speak at some length, they will lay their hand upon their lips. By means of her, immortality shall be mine. I shall leave an everlasting memory behind me. I shall govern peoples, and nations will be subject to me. At the sound of my name, fearsome princes will be afraid. I shall show myself kind to the people and to the valiant in battle. When I go home, I shall take my ease with her, for her company has no bitterness. A life shared with her has no pain, nothing but pleasure and joy. Solomon's search for wisdom. Having considered all this and concluded in my heart that immortality lies in kinship with wisdom, noble contentment in her friendship, inexhaustible riches in the work of her hands, understanding in cultivating her society, and renown in sharing her words, I went around seeking how to take her for myself. I was a young man of happy disposition. I had received a good soul as my lot, or rather, being good, I had entered an undefiled body. However, realizing that I could never possess wisdom unless God gave her to me, a sign of intelligence in itself, to know in whose gift she lay, I prayed to the Lord and entreated him, and with all my heart I said, "The word of the Lord."